Hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Katie if you're new to my channel, and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living, and we are doing a couple of special videos for your Valentine's Day dinner. Those of you that are not looking to go out to eat but want to cook something special for your family or your loved ones or your friends, I'm just kind of doing a few little videos here to give you some suggestions on something a little bit nicer. I don't know if you want to use the word fancy, but just something more special than you would normally fix. So today we're doing another dessert. Previous dessert I did was a raspberry heart embellished cheesecake. So if you want to go back and watch that video, I can link that. And we also did chicken parmesan and a Louisiana special of barbecued shrimp. So you can check out all those videos. But today we're going to be doing another dessert. The last one we did was a raspberry or the red fruit kind of themed, which you could interchange that with a strawberry or whatever. But today we're going to be doing our chocolate dessert. And today we're going to be doing a chocolate frozen torte is what it's called. And this is a recipe I haven't had since I was a kid, I think. So I'm kind of doing this from memory. I don't have a written down recipe. I kind of looked up a few recipes on Pinterest that kind of were similar to kind of get some ratios on different ingredients. I can kind of link one of them down below, but it's not exactly what I'm following. And I do have my oven, if you heard that beeping, preheating to 300 degrees to get this started. So what it is like these meringue, chocolate pecan meringue layers that you layer with chocolate whipped cream in the middle, and then you freeze it, and kind of makes it something special, but it's super easy to make. You just need the time to put it in the freezer, so you can make this the day ahead of time and get it out of the way. And you do have to have the freezer space, which I'm kind of like, oh no, what am I do? I'm going to take something out of the freezer for a few hours until I get this frozen, and then we eat it. And I put the other thing back in the freezer, I think, which I do have a turkey breast in the freezer that I can take out. I don't think that'll thaw in the fridge right now for over a few hours. I mean, I could put it right back in the freezer. So I think that's where I'm going to have to stick it, is where that turkey breast is, because it's like the whole breast with the bone anyway. I bought it at Thanksgiving. So we're going to get started. And the first thing we're going to do is let me just show you what I have. I have these cake circles. I do bake a lot of cakes for different things where I take it them other places. So I have these cake circles. I've ordered these on Amazon. I can link them below, but you can get these at any party store. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace our cake circle or any kind of 8-inch pan that you have, because you don't have to use this. I'm just using this to make it easier to put it in my freezer so that I don't have a big plate or serving dish that I need more room in my freezer. So that's why I'm using this. I'm not taking it anywhere, but it's just for my ease. But we're going to trace this on our parchment paper. So we'll get that started. That way we'll know how big to spread out our meringue layers. So you'll need something that's 8-inch. That's what the size of this this recipe will accommodate, I guess. So let's get that going, and then we'll start on our meringue. All right, I already did one on another sheet pan because 3 obviously wouldn't fit on this sheet pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cake circle or whatever you're using, and I'm going to use a Sharpie because I want to be able to see it. We're going to flip this parchment paper over so we're not baking on top of the Sharpie. But you want to be able to see it through the parchment paper. So we're just tracing this on here. I definitely don't want them overlapping. I thought I had measured this and it was going to fit. I'm going to set that aside. And now we're just going to flip these over. And there's our 2 circles. I'm going to move this aside and we'll get busy on a meringue. So into our mixing bowl here, I plug it in. This is going to be easier to whip your meringues either in the stand mixer with the whisk or beaters, okay? So this is what we're using. You can do them by hand, but they do take a lot longer. So we're going to put 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Of course, I am going to eyeball that. And we're going to need 6 egg whites. I don't know if you've seen before, but I do make my own vanilla extract and actually sell it. I do have a video on how to make it, but then I also sell it on Etsy, and I can leave those linked below also. And I know I love to show my eggs from my girls. These are my pretty eggs today. I haven't had a blue one again in a while. We weren't getting them, and then we started getting them, and now we're not getting them again. So we need egg whites. So we're going to separate these. Should be doing it into here to be able to put my yolk over there. So you can use an egg separator, or you can just use your shell. And you want to make sure your bowl is very clean and there's no residual grease deposits in it, because that will cause your egg whites not to whip appropriately. I am going to get a separate bowl. I don't want that. We feed our eggshells back to our chickens, and they get in their feed has oyster shells, and so they're getting a lot of calcium, and their shells are really thick. Now our egg yolks, will either cook that for the dogs or the chickens or something. So the next thing we're going to add is some cream of tartar. This helps stabilize your your whites, when you're making your meringues. We need 1/3 teaspoon. So I'm just going to do a heaping 1/4 teaspoon, I guess. All right, so we're going to beat these now. And while these are beating, what we're going to do is we're going to sift together our sugar and our cocoa. All right, 2 cups of powdered sugar. And now we're going to be adding 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So I'm going to sift this while my egg whites are beaten, and then we'll move to the next step. All right, so our egg whites are foamy. Let me see if you can see that. Show you that. They're not like stiff yet. They're still foamy, and we're going to start incorporating our sugar and our cocoa powder now, because you don't want to overbeat these and get them dry. So we want to start incorporating slowly now until we get to our stiff peaks. All right, so our egg whites are very firm. They're super glossy. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chop our pecans pretty fine. Sorry, I just want to get all that off. Circa 1970s Tupperware pecan chopper or nut chopper. So whatever way you chop your nuts, we're going to chop our nuts. But what I'm going to do, and we're going to have different decorating techniques we can do to serve this. I'm saving out the whole pecans, and this is going to be one of our ideas on how to decorate. So save out your whole ones, and however it is you chop your pecans, we're going to need 1.5 cups of chopped pecans, which I'm almost there. So this really does a really good job, if you can see this, chopping them pretty fine. So we're going to dump these in here, and then we're going to fold them in. We don't want to mix it vigorously. We're just going to use our little spatula here, and we're just going to fold it in. Spoon from the bottom, come back to the top. Spoon from the bottom, come back to the top. The chocolate smell is so good. We eat with so many of our senses. It's sight, it's smell, it's taste, it's texture. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to make some space over here on my work surface, and we're going to get our sheet pans over here, and we're going to spread this out. All right, so here is my 3 circles, and I'm going to divide up my meringue between my 3 circles before I start spreading it. I am going to use this large offset spatula so I can spread it pretty smoothly. But we'll scoop this out onto our sheet pans. All right, that looks pretty even. Let me wash my hands off. All right, so we're going to take our spatula and we're just going to spread it out to the size of our circle. And it might puff a little bit, so maybe not quite to the edge, because you don't want it to be bigger than your circle. All right, I'm going to try and flatten it out now. This is a very easy dessert to make, but it's pretty dramatic when you see it. And this, kind of like the cheesecake, it takes time, that's the difficult part, but it's something you always can do the day before, or even 2 days before. Now it is going to bake for 45 to 55 minutes, and then you're going to, just like the cheesecake, you're going to turn your oven off and leave it in there for about an hour.
All right.
So yummy, y'all. I want to lick my finger, but I know I can't with the egg whites. All right, so I get these in the oven, and we're going to set the timer, and then we will come back and start working on our decorations. All right, the next thing we're going to make is some chocolate curls to go on top. So we have our pecans, and now we're going to do chocolate curls. I just have some semi-sweet baking chocolate bars here. This one I picked up at World Market, but I think you can get it like on Amazon or something. If I find it, I can link it below. And I'm going to use these are 2-ounce bars, and I have 1 3/4 of one. So a little over 3 ounces of chocolate here, and I have a tablespoon of butter in my measuring cup, and we're going to put this in the microwave on 30-second intervals or such, and stir between because we don't want it to burn. I'm just breaking it up to make it easier. So I'm going to get this in the microwave, and we are going to get it melted. So I have a sheet pan that I've flipped over backwards, and yes, this pan has been on the grill, so that's why it's discolored like this, but it is clean. I'm using my offset spatula again. What we're going to do is we're going to take our chocolate and we're going to spread it out here pretty thin. You want this to be almost see-through. And this did take, my butter was already softened, and this took about 1 minute and 15 seconds to melt fully, just to give you an idea. Don't want to waste any of that chocolate. And you can use these chocolate curls on so many things. They're so easy to make, and they just kind of make it a little bit more fancy. You just do it on a regular yellow cake with chocolate icing, just to make it just a little bit more dressy. All right, we're gonna let this set. We want it not completely hardened, but we want it very firm, but not hard, because when you go to curl it, it will break if it's hard. But we want it almost set. So we're gonna let this sit here. You can put it in the refrigerator for a minute or two, but I don't want it to leave it in there and forget about it, and then it's hard, and then you just have a sheet of chocolate stuck to your sheet pan. So yeah, just leave it on the counter, unless you can set a timer or something for a minute or two, just to leave it in the fridge. So we'll let this sit here, and then we'll start our whipped cream. I am going to use a whole, well, my husband already made coffee out of this one. Let me get another one. It's a good thing I checked. All right, so I'm going to use a whole quart of whipped cream for this, because I'm not quite sure how much we need. And we can always use it to top hot chocolate or our coffee or some other something. Whipped cream will not go bad in our house, but this is heavy whipping cream. I'm going to use a whole quart. I don't want that to spray on me. There's so many different decorating ideas. You could do this. You could do like a chocolate sauce drizzle. You could do a caramel sauce drizzle. That make it more kind of turtley with the pecans and the chocolate and the caramel. There's so many different ways you could go with this to decorate. So I'm gonna get this going, and we're gonna make whipped cream. If you've never whipped cream before, you want to get it till it's, it almost looks kind of dry, but if you whip it too far, that's when you're going to make butter. So I'll kind of show you what it's going to look like in case you've never made whipped cream before. And we'll keep an eye on this and make sure this doesn't get too hard. And one or the other, we'll come back to see if this is done or this is done. So we'll be back in a second. All right, my whipped cream is getting a little stiff. So I'm going to go ahead and add about 1/2 cup of sugar to this, because I don't want to wait until it's finished, because then we might turn it into butter. And then to make this chocolate whipped cream, we're going to use good old Hershey syrup. You can always use a better quality something, but this is what I have. And I'm also going to add a pinch of salt. If you know me, I like to add a little bit of salt to anything I have that's sweet. And I don't know how much syrup I'm going to put in there. Let me get a little measuring cup just so I can tell you, and then I can always adjust it. And I don't even have a lot in here, so we may use all that I have. So this is a 1/4 cup measure, and we'll start with half of this, so about 1/8 of a cup is what we'll start with. All right, I'm gonna get this going again, and then I'll let you know when we stop to taste it. All right, I can already tell with the color of this that this is nowhere near close enough, and all I have left is another 1/8 of a cup, so we're putting a 1/4 cup total in here. Now, we're making this whipped cream ahead of time, so the granulated sugar will have time to dissolve in here, but if you're gonna make whipped cream to use right away, I would suggest you use powdered sugar, and you'd always use a little bit less powdered sugar than you would the granulated sugar. That way you don't have to wait for it to dissolve. All right, we're gonna finish this up. All right, I'm gonna show you what this looks like and what I mean by dry looking. All right, if you can see, it almost looks kind of dry, but when you spread it, it's not. I found when I first started making whipped cream, if I did it just so it looks so soft and creamy, but yet fluffy, I found if it sat for like a day, it would separate. So I started beating it a little bit longer. I was always afraid I was gonna make butter. So I started just doing a little bit longer each time. And so I found that this dry looking state is the best state to stop at. And then when you spread it, it will look all creamy and soft and yummy. So this is our chocolate whipped cream. Yummy. It's just a hint of chocolate. If I had more chocolate syrup, I'd probably add a little bit more to that. But it almost tastes like some yummy chocolate milk. But our layers are going to be chocolate, and we're going to have chocolate curls on top. So I think this is fine. All right, this isn't quite ready. It's still soft. So I'll come back when this is ready. All right, we're going to give this a check. I did put it in the fridge, checking on it quite often. For about 10 minutes, I had time to just focus on leaving that in the fridge, so I wasn't worried about forgetting it. So we're going to go ahead and give it a check. So we're going to take, so I have this little, I think it's like called a brownie spatula. I can leave it linked. Anything I leave linked in the bottom is things I really use and really like. And it doesn't cost you any extra to buy something from my link if you're interested in purchasing it. It just helps my channel out. So anyway, if you can see, it's got like this little beveled edge on here. It's got some chocolate on it because I've been testing this. So it's a little, I don't want to say sharp because it's not sharp on the edge, but it's going to give us a better push against the chocolate because it's a thinner point here. You can use a regular spatula, but this is just going to help you a little bit better. So we're going to give this a try. We're going to point down at with it. We're not scooping, we're going to point down. We're just going to go over here to the edge. And we'll just push along here. And there's our chocolate curls, y'all. I'm going to put it over here in my little bowl. Very gently, don't want it to break. I think I could have maybe spread this chocolate out a little thinner, because that's what it keeps doing to me. It keeps breaking off like this. Sometimes you might have to help it. Oops. With your body temperature, it's going to melt it right away. Maybe I'll let this set a little bit more. I should have spread this thinner, I think. Let me turn it around and try the other edge. Well, we may end up with chocolate shavings and not chocolate curls, which is always an option. I just was going for the curls tonight. I think it needs to set a little bit more because it's super soft still. Like it melts as soon as I touch it. So I'm gonna put this back in the fridge because I can watch it right now. Clean my little spatula off. We'll get this to set a little more. I think I may have not spread it thin enough too, but it's too late for that. We might just end up with chocolate shavings. We'll see. All right, we're gonna give this another try. I'm gonna cover this in because it's a little thinner. All right, it's kind of wanting to curl. There we go. That's going to be a bunch of shavings in the middle of a curl, this one. All right, we'll try some more. Perfect. I'm going to do some bigger, some smaller. I'm just putting them in a dish so that when I finish, I can put these in the fridge and keep them cool until we're ready to use them. I keep saying fridge and I keep thinking, does everybody call it a fridge or do y'all straight call it a refrigerator? Let me know because I don't know if I sound backwoods calling it a fridge. All right, we'll get these rolled out. And I have my meringues cooling in the oven. We'll pull them on the countertop when that's finished. And then when it's time to put it together, we will come back together. All right, y'all. Our layers were baked for 45 minutes. I turned the oven off, left them in the oven for an hour, pulled them out of the oven, left them on the counter, and then I put them in their fridge just to make sure they are completely cool because we don't want it to melt our whipped cream. So we have all of our components ready. We have our layers, we have our chocolate whipped cream, we have our chocolate curls, and then we have our whole pecans. So what I'm gonna do is I did put my first layer on that cake circle and then I put it on a plate. This way I can put this in my freezer. I will put this on like a cake stand to serve it, but this is what we're doing to go in the freezer. So we have one layer down. We're gonna put a good helping of this whipped cream on here. Now, we're not gonna ice the edge of the cake. It's just gonna be like layered. We'll gently spread it. We don't want to break these meringues. All right, I think I need a little bit more. All right, we'll take our next layer. Just be very careful with them because they can break. So once you start spreading these next layers, you don't want to really push down because you're not on a flat surface anymore and you don't want them to break. And watch, I'm probably going to push down too hard and break it just because I said that. Just be very gentle with it. All right, we'll put our last layer on. going to show you the underside of this. You can see how it's light and bubbly. All right, we'll put this one on. All right, so the decorating part, like I said, you can do so many things. You can do the caramel sauce, you could do a chocolate sauce, you could do the chocolate curls, you could do chocolate shavings, chopped pecans, but I'm just going to show you what we're going to do tonight. Just trying to level that out a little bit on that side. All right, so I'm going to take my whole pecans and I'm going to just go around the edge and put those in. I saved out quite a bit of pecans because I wasn't sure how many it was going to take to go around. And yes, they are pecans and not pecans. These are local pecans from across the river from me. When we say across the river, that's usually the Mississippi River. These are Bergeron pecans. All right, something else I'm going to show you real quick. I have these little edible pink heart sprinkles. Let's see if you can see them. They're very tiny. And I just got these at a like a party store. Actually, I think it was at Joann's, which is a fabric craft store. They have a pretty good cake decorating section. I got these for a birthday party, and I got several different color hearts. But I was going to put these on top, and then I thought about the chocolate sprinkles. So this is an option too, especially since it's pink hearts. All right. So what I'm going to do is I have some that didn't really curl, and I'm going to put those down first just to kind of give us a base here. I'll put all these flat ones down, and then we'll pile our curls on top. Like this. I've even done like big sheets of triangle and rectangle chocolate that almost look like shards, and I've kind of stuck them up vertically in a cake before and decorated a cake with those. There's so many different things you can do if you have an imagination, or you get on Pinterest like I do, because I'm not like a painty, creative-y, that kind of person. If you show me something, I can recreate it, but to come up with the idea on my own is not my thing. All right, we're just piling these on. And I think that's about it for my curly ones. I think we'll leave it with that. All right, so here we go with this. We'll see if we can get a good shot of it. Hopefully it's not leaning too much. All right, you can see the layers. So I'm gonna go put this in the freezer, and we'll let this get pretty good and firm, so that when we cut it, it's well, it's called a frozen chocolate torte. You're gonna serve this frozen, but this is what it looks like. Looks like mine's kind of leaning. Maybe I should have iced it when I was up a little higher so I could get more level. Anyway, we'll get this in the freezer and we'll come back when it's time to try it. I'm so excited. Okay, so here's our finished dessert. You can see our chocolate curls and our pecans, All right, we're going to give it a slice. Now, I did not let this freeze for the 6 hours, it says, or overnight. We couldn't wait that long. We had to taste test it. So, now of course, the cream, see, the cream wouldn't be squirting out like that if it was frozen. But it's still going to taste just as good.
Out the window and you weren't talking for a long time. I figured you weren't videoing.
All right, here's our little slice. We'll go ahead and get a taste test. I'm going to get the back so you can kind of hear the crunchy. That is so good. I don't know why I've waited so long to make that. I will be definitely making it more often. So I hope you give this a try. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel yet. And we'll hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.